Persistence is a key part to manifestation. However, not every journey will be that affirm for a few days, get some movement or get some signs, or maybe even the full success, and everything's a piece of cake. Quite often, many of us experience persisting for days, maybe even weeks or even longer, and not necessarily getting any signs or movement, which then makes us doubt the process, which then makes it hard to persist. Because while, yes, the process of manifestation is to turn away from what's out there and go inward, due to the fact a big part of our mind does work by using 3D feedback to operate going forward, there is, of course, going to be an element of us that is stuck looking out there. Now, we want to minimize that side of us as much as we can so that we can manifest easier. But of course, while we're getting to that point, persisting for days, weeks, months with no movement can make it a little bit trickier to persist. So what I want to do today is give you a few suggestions and ideas that have helped me in my journeys when I've seen no movement to keep persisting and not either give up on the desire or start wavering and start letting myself kind of go down a negative spiral. So the first thing that I want to give you is a simple question of what's the alternative? Now, this was a big thing for me because it set the perspective of, yes, persisting with no results can be frustrating or annoying, but persisting is what is necessary even in spite of getting no results. Now, what would the alternative to persisting be? Going at it half-assed, wavering, doubting, fearing, being anxious, which the vast majority of us can objectively agree those things aren't the most optimal way to manifest a desire. So yes, while I may be frustrated that I'm not getting any movement or that I've been doing this for X amount of time, if I don't have the intention to give up on this desire and move on, what is the alternative to just keeping on? Spiraling, wavering, panicking, fearing, which we know will more than likely give me worse results than if I just kept on persisting, even in spite of the way that I feel. So whenever I used to get no movement or feel like I was doing everything right, but nothing was kind of going the way that I thought, first and foremost, I would try to resolve those feelings in the moment, take a few deep breaths, go do something that makes me happy, like exercise or listen to music, just to put myself in a better state of mind so I'm not kind of wallowing in self-pity and frustration. And then I would ask myself, well, what is the alternative? If I truly desire this thing, what is the alternative to keep going, to keep showing up for myself? Well, letting myself fall apart. Is that going to get me my desire? No. Is that going to get me my desire any better than persisting even in spite of no movement? No, it's not. And since I truly desire this thing, I must keep going anyway. No matter what the 3D is showing me, no matter the frustration, no matter any of that, I must continue to do the best I can to bring my awareness back from this 3D reality and stop looking at it to say, well, why is it not here? It's been 6 weeks, it's been this, it's been that, and using what's out there to justify how I think up here and how I feel in here, and instead just keep on keeping on. Because we know that if we persist in new assumptions, if we persist in creating new belief patterns, new thought patterns, a new state of being, we must get the consequences of that new state of being. Which means if we continue to persist, even in spite of what the 3D is showing, and break past that barrier, we are going to get our desire. But if we do the opposite, what's the opposite of that? Then we know that we're more than likely not going to get our desire until we pull ourselves back from it and keep going. So that first question was always a really good thing for me to set it into perspective and to kind of pull myself out of that frustrated sort of self-pity kind of place, which we all don't enjoy being in, but we all find ourselves in every now and then, especially if you've been going on a bit of an extensive journey, trialing and erroring, doing all the different techniques and such. But I can assure you, the alternative is no better for your manifestation. So you may as well even in spite of the frustration and stuff. Resolve those feelings in the moment so you can come at it from a better state of mind, and then keep on going. The next thing that was really beneficial for me, even in spite of this, was doing the best that I could to stop seeing it as a process, but instead make it more of a lifestyle, so that I wasn't, how can I say it? I wasn't looking for the results to show that what I was doing was working. What I mean by that is, instead of seeing it as I am manifesting a desire, I tried to see it more as doing this process is part of my lifestyle. So I tried to create a routine that worked well around my processes, my day, so that I could have a structured process that didn't feel too indifferent to how I went about my day, so it didn't feel separate from my day. Hopefully that makes sense. And therefore, sticking to it became a lot easier. Kind of like people that don't necessarily enjoy the gym, but they want the results of going to the gym, so they'll get up early in the morning to just get it out their way first thing. And it becomes part of their routine to just get up, go gym, do what needs to be done, and then you can enjoy the rest of the day. Sort of something like that. But this is kind of actually where my doubling down on the idea of your dominant state is what manifests, and where I really understood this more so than maybe the sort of quantity-based things that you hear from other coaches, like the 10K challenge and so on and so forth. I identified and realized within my own life, and the more that I researched and read and so on and so forth, I realized that it isn't the amount of thoughts that are necessary, it's the state that you're in more dominantly. Neville Goddard mentioned the strongest feeling and such things like that. And I realized that I would have moments where I thought about something insignificant, no feeling attached, but that thing still manifests very shortly after. And I realized it's because of the dominancy of that state. I wasn't having opposing thoughts like, oh, I'm not going to hear that song in the shops or something like that. Therefore, those very, very small thoughts about the song ended up manifesting that I hear it shortly after. So the reason why I mentioned that is because what I did to help me persist, even in spite of no movement or no signs or nothing like that, was I created a routine that made sure that I was being dominant in my new story as effectively as possible with as little work as possible, so I could enjoy the time in between. So I tried to make my routine doing something in the morning to start my day off right, something in the evening to end my day right. Maybe 10 minutes of affirmations in morning and night. Sometimes I do a little bit of visualization as I was falling asleep, but something like that. Start my day right, end my day right. And as I went through my day, I did absolutely no work unless I was no manifestation work, unless I was in a time period where I had nothing else to do. For example, while washing up, I'd fire off a few affirmations and just put myself in the state while washing up because I've got nothing else to do. Or if my desires came to mind. So if I thought about my business or my partner or money or anything like that, and they were my desires, I would ensure that I ended those thoughts in the right way. And then anything in between, either the morning, the night, when I had nothing better to do, or when the thoughts naturally came to mind, I would be as invested in this present moment and making it as enjoyable for me as possible. And the reason why I did that, or the reason why I made this process overall, was because by doing it in the morning and the night, I'm making use of the two times when your mind is naturally in a very good state for your subconscious mind to be impressed, the alpha brainwave state. Of course, you can fall in and out of it during the day as well, but these are time periods where you're just naturally in it. When my desire came to mind, I ensured that any negative thoughts I captured and redirected to the positive. And when I had nothing better to do, I just used that as an additional oomph towards my manifestation. This way, I was staying dominant in that new story while doing minimal work. Because we have proven with the vast array of different manifestation successes that people have told on this channel and many others, that it's not the quantity of work that you do, it's the quality of the state dwelled in that makes the difference. So just because I wasn't necessarily doing a lot of work, I ensured that what I did do kept me in the dominant state. Therefore, I was doing as little manifestation work as possible, so it didn't feel like I was losing every single day to the process of manifestation, but instead making it more of a lifestyle sort of thing. But because of the fact I was using little time for manifestation, I had more time to enjoy the present moment and do things that made me happy, that made me feel excited, that gave me things to look forward to. So while there was no movement, while objectively my 3D reality wasn't showing me what I wanted it to do, subjectively, I wasn't that concerned about it because I was still enjoying the present moment. An analogy to kind of maybe put into place what I mean is, yeah, you may be super hungry when you go out to dinner with your friends and you've put in your order and you're waiting for that order to come in. You're still hungry in the manifestation sense, still want it, still waiting, but you're enjoying the company, which makes it not feel so bad, as opposed to maybe if you were just sat at that dinner table alone and the only thing that you had to deal with was the feeling of hunger and waiting for your food. Whereas when you're sharing that company, you're having a good time and everything is better in the moment, you may still be hungry, you may still be waiting for the food, but the time will pass by quicker and you'll probably enjoy the time in between much better. And that's what I tried to do. When it came to persisting, even in spite of no movement, I tried to make my life as good as I possibly could, with things to look forward to, pursuing goals, working on myself, doing all of these different things, so that the time in between wasn't such a concern and I wasn't so fussed about my reality shifting. Of course, I had my desires and of course I wanted them to come into play and I was still pursuing them. I'd made the manifestation a routine and so on and so forth. But I tried to make my life to the point externally to my desire that if nothing was to ever change, at least I wasn't losing out. At least I was still making the most of the moment that I could. And quite often, in reality, what happened is when I really started to dwell in that and started to take away some of the need for this desire to come in to make me feel fulfilled, that's often when the desire came flooding in. And that's often when I got the most amount of signs and movement and successes. Even with my specific person manifestation, if you've sort of heard the story on my channel before, it was like the day before, maybe the day before that, where I basically just let go. Oh no, it's the day before, sorry. Where I essentially just let go of any need for it to happen. I said, if I get her, great. If I don't, then it's fine too, or it is what it is. And the day after that, that's when my specific person came in. So I really hope this helps. Like I said, these are things that have helped me. So I recommend giving them a go, seeing how they can possibly help you with your thing. Because yeah, it sucks and I get it. When you're trying to manifest something for so long and no movement, it can be frustrating. But try to take on these two things. Remind yourself that if you truly desire this thing, what is the alternative to persisting? And try and maybe make it more of a lifestyle to manifest your desire and put yourself in the state, as opposed to a process that you do in life, if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. And try and make it something that kind of flows with what you have going on, so it doesn't feel so separate to you, so it doesn't feel like such a chore or a process, but instead a way of life. But thank you so much for watching. I really hope it's given you some good ideas. Like and comment on this video because it lets me know you liked it and it pushes it out for the algorithm to push to more people, for more people. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and be sure to click that bell icon. And if you do need any one-to-one help, down below in the description is all the links that you need to find the things that you'll need. I need to fix that ending. I can't word that last part right. But thank you so much for watching and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.